Hi, and welcome to the MyRehab Cafe video podcast, everybody. It's Christopher here again with you on this Thursday. Good to be with you. The MyRehab Cafe private and unsearchable or secret Facebook group is the aftercare branch of the MyRehab group of dual diagnosis addiction centers, or ARC as it was formerly known as. The MyRehab centers are private inpatient drug and alcohol rehab centers that offer high-quality healthcare with high-quality outcomes. The MyRehab Cafe Group has exclusive access to loads of content that isn't available on any of the MyRehab public channels. Some of the content includes workshops, lectures, and support groups hosted in conjunction with some of the treatment providers at the MyRehab inpatient centers. These treating providers are psychologists, social workers, wellness counselors, and volunteers who have extensive experience in the field. Group members also participate in movie and book reviews, and from time to time, face-to-face events as well. If you aren't a member of the MyRehab Cafe, you're likely watching this on a public channel. This means that you'll have between 10 and 20 minutes of access to the live broadcast before we switch over exclusively to the private and unsearchable MyRehab Cafe Facebook group. Remember to sign up and join the MyRehab Cafe, guys, as this is where the interesting parts of the live videos happen. MyRehab Cafe is free to any person who's been through the MyRehab inpatient process. If you haven't been through the inpatient process, but you want to find out how to join the MyRehab Cafe, please check out the MyRehab Cafe website. The address is www.myrehab.com. If you do want to participate in this workshop, please join in via video or audio via the link in the comment section, or leave a comment, and hopefully it will be able to be brought on screen so I can go about answering whatever questions you have. If you are a MyRehab Cafe member and you want a higher degree of anonymity or confidentiality, wait for us to end the broadcast on the public channels before hopping on or posting. I'll make an announcement when we're switching over. So with that, folks, let's get going. Let's get started as we move forward. Last week, I began with two quotes and said that for every kind of session we do on a Thursday afternoon, I'll bring in two quotes which kind of speak a little bit about our journey onto recovery. So the first one, which we'll call up, please, Kirsty, is a quote from Carl Bard. And there it comes. And you can see it. It says, though no one can go back and make a brand new start, anyone can start from now on and make a brand new ending. Something really upbeat, really hopeful, kind of recognizing that what's been has been, but we look forward now to kind of where we're going to be going, what we're going to achieve going forward. And then the second from Tom Stoddard, who said, I really mean it when I say my biggest fear in early recovery was that I would never have fun again. The beautiful truth is that recovery has given me freedom and the confidence to go out in the world and leave my own mark. And I know from talking with many of you, where you've been in here, that one of the greatest fears that you've had is kind of, but my life is going to be so different when I go out there. What am I going to do for fun? How am I going to kind of keep myself occupied as we go through it? So I really enjoyed this quote where he says, it's given me freedom and the confidence to go out in the world and leave my own mark, because ultimately that's what we're looking for. So if we can keep on moving down, Christy, to the determinants of relapse, which we began last week, and onto the second page, the part which begins covert determinants of relapse, please. There we go. So last week, we began with the first part of this worksheet where we spoke about some of the determinants of kind of relapse. And we're going to continue that now by looking at these covert determinants of relapse. So many times it's not just the obvious things, the in-our-face things that kind of cause us to relapse, but it's those things which kind of happen under the surface, those things which slowly sometimes creep up on us and cause us hassles as we go forward. So we're going to be looking through these pretty quickly because they're also going to be spoken about in the cost-benefit analysis worksheet that we're going to kind of start doing today as well. So the first one speaks about apparently irrelevant decisions. And for those of you who've been in here, you'll know that I change my glasses often. Okay, this is so I can read and don't get everything messed up. So covert determinants involve unexpected influences. Unexpected influences, it says, that usually operate as a series of decisions or choices. We call these choices apparently irrelevant decisions because they may not be overtly recognized as being related to relapse, but ultimately they move you closer to relapse. These decisions appear to be harmless and in most cases even have good intentions, such as purchasing a bottle of wine just in case you have guests over. The danger here is that these decisions enable you to experience positive effects of using while disavowing personal responsibility for a lapse episode. Apparently irrelevant decisions often interact with addictive behaviors such as denial and rationalization. And we kind of all know that those sort of justifications that we give ourselves, where we're able to say, well, I'm thinking about other people. This is just perhaps, maybe. You know? I can kind of go and have a meal at that place because, it won't affect me, despite the fact that it was a place where you commonly went to go and sit and drink with your friends. So these decisions kind of keep on adding up. And interestingly enough, one of our kind of current clients spoke about how he was in a place where he would kind of go and visit people who he knew were drinkers. But he'd go there initially and it would be fine for him for a little while. But after kind of a couple of visits to them, slowly they started offering him a drink again. And it became easy for him to say, okay, so I'll take one now. So while the decision initially kind of was, I'm going just to be with my friends and to take things forward, ultimately he had to reach a point where he recognized that the decision that he made, even though it was supposedly just about going to visit friends, even though that decision kind of tripped him up and took him forward. The second one we look for is lifestyle factors. So the worksheet reads, a person whose life is full of demands may experience a constant sense of stress, which will generate negative emotional states and high-risk situations. Such a lifestyle will also enhance the person's desire for pleasure and the rationalization that using is justified. If you don't have non-using activities in your life, you may start believing that using was the only way to obtain pleasure and escape. And again, this is something that we will kind of be able to pick out of the cost-benefit analysis as we go through it. But you can also just understand for yourselves, our lives are hectic, whether at home, often the stress of dealing with a husband, a wife, a partner, dealing with children, with all of the stresses that come. We know kind of where the economy is at the moment, and for many of us, that's biting hard on our wallets. And so all of this kind of stress and pressure builds up. Then we have the stress and pressure of home, and it's been really interesting also talking to 3 of my outpatients this week about how that this past month has been one of the really bad months economically for many businesses, and how they've also struggled, and how this extra pressure kind of just gets put on them. And so all of these things kind of tend to add up and add up and add up. And And one of the things, if we haven't incorporated them into our recovery, if we haven't incorporated this time of making changes, giving ourselves the opportunity to do new things, we get sucked back into that stress. And we kind of go back and we think, oh yeah, you know what? When I was drinking, when I was using, I didn't experience stress so much. I didn't kind of feel all of these feelings. Let me go back and use again. And so it kind of creates that kind of sense of relapse going forward. And then the final one on this worksheet, urges and cravings. So it reads, cravings and urges are not just physiological states. They are precipitated by psychological or environmental stimuli. Ongoing cravings may erode your commitment to maintaining abstinence as your desire for gratification increases. Although we often use these two terms interchangeably, there is a difference. An urge is a relatively sudden impulse to engage in an act of using, while a craving is defined as the subjective desire to experience the effects and consequences of using. Both are triggered by stimuli and cognitive processes that are associated with the anticipated gratification. So in other words, we kind of move into a place where we may be triggered by something. The trigger kind of develops that craving within us, that urge to kind of go and use because of what we think the benefit will be for us. And if we give ourselves permission, and we're very good at doing this when we kind of in addiction and in recovery, we've learned how to give ourselves permission. We've learned to kind of get into a place where we say, oh, you know what, it's been a tough week. Or, oh, my wife's been nagging me all week. Apologies to all wives. Just an example. But my boss has kind of been on my back all the time. Let me go and use, okay? Or I deserve it, man. Look at what I've achieved this week. I'll reward myself. So as soon as we start giving in, as soon as we have those urges, we have those cravings, in itself, that's not enough to kind of make us use. It's got to lead into this place where we give ourselves permission. We can justify our use going forward. So dealing with our cravings is really important. And what we're going to be able to be doing in the next while is we're also going to kind of look at ways that we can deal with cravings and look at some really positive tools that you can go forward. So that's kind of the end of that worksheet. But from that, one of the things that I kind of keep on doing in kind of my work, as much as I tell those of you who kind of work with me that it's important to carry on with the recovery work when you leave this place. One of the things that it also means for me is that I also have to kind of keep on learning, keep on working, keep on finding new ways, new ideas for working with people. And one of the things that I've been using in the past while with some of my clients is this cost-benefit analysis tool. And I've found that it's been a really positive experience for them because it gives them the opportunity to look inside themselves to see kind of what their understanding is of their addiction, of their reasons for using, of where they are and how they want to take things forward. And so I want us to do this go through this cost benefit analysis tool. If you could move the page down, Christy, okay, to the next one, to the questions. There we go. So you'll see that there are 4 questions that it kind of comes up with. And question 1 and question 2 are linked. Question 3 and question 4 are linked. And we're going to kind of go through these these questions today. And because it is and will be up on the video, you'll be able to go back and to get these questions. It is an exercise that I really recommend you to do, and not one that you also kind of do once and then put to the side and forget about it, but rather one that you keep on looking at, that you go back to from time to time, update it, see what it says. Because one of the things that's really important, I believe, is writing things down. Being able to kind of see stuff, have your own diary, whether you kind of type it into your phone, whether you write it down in a journal, whether you kind of put it onto your laptop, but that you have the stuff written down that you can go back to, that you can see that it's kind of in your face, and make that commitment to for yourself. There's so many things I think that we do while we're in recovery that kind of we tend to forget, and while we're in ARC. So we kind of come into MyRehab, we spend the 21 days here, go back, the file gets closed for many people and they never look at it again. So we're going to be able to take it from there. So we're going to be moving over to the private group. Now, for those of you who are on the Facebook group, we'll see you there. For the others, take care of you, and hopefully you'll join up if you go to the MyRehab website. Take care.